how you prep the mock-up. So one person is asking if you do make the preparation on the mock-up.
It's through the mock-up. That the concept is not to cut from the present, but to cut from the future. The future is materialized by the mock-up, so by the Luxatemp, let's say.
Yeah, this was a very, very good description of this. And then how you handle existing restorations when you're replacing the preparing shops?
So for me, you have two types. One is the existing restoration is correct, well done on the X-rays. You have no leakage, nothing. So you keep it, and just you continue your tabletop, and you just part of the tabletop will be sit on this existing restoration. If the restoration is not correct, then you change it, but I change it and I make the same thing. So I make a direct filling. So many cases, if this is very small, it's made with flow composite. If this is big, it's better to use a core build-up material, dentin substitute like Luxacor or like any kind of material that you have in the same spirit, because of the size of the cavity where you have some stress regarding the retraction. Mm-hmm. So then we fill the gap, and after that, again, I go back to my existing design. I don't want a very thin tabletop and a very thick proximal cavity, because otherwise I won't have a good geometrical harmony and it will break.
Thank you. And then there's another very interesting question. I think that's probably clinically very challenging. So how do you reduce the centric relation and skeletal?
Class 2. Okay. So it is an interesting question. Why? Because in the book, we know that when you go on the class 2 and you rise the vertical dimension, we are supposed to make the class 2 even worse. This is true. But on some class 2 also, we need to know that we have a kind of supraocclusion. So you have a very deep bite like this. So when you increase the vertical dimension, you open a little bit the bite, so you reduce a little bit the stress. Honestly, I treat the class 2, I treat class 1, and I didn't, let's say that it was not a very big deal for me to increase the vertical dimension with class 2. I didn't modify anything. I just make the same movement in the centric relation. I just guide, but honestly, because we are already with some existing stabilization from the tooth, the centric relation that we are looking for is far way different in terms of movement and searching than when you have already an edentulous patient where you have only the articular position as a references. So that's why for me, I want to follow a little bit the envelope of the patient himself, even if he is in the class 2.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm suffering from hay fever and try to control it. Okay. There's another question. What are you making the provisionals of, and how are you bonding them on? Do you use spot etch or?
So I don't spot etch because sometimes it's difficult to remove it. I just place some spot of adhesive. That's it. And because of the fact that it's a monolithic temporary, the retention is good.
Thank you. Do you break contacts for impressions?
No, because when you keep the marginal ridge, you don't want to break the contact. Otherwise, you will have to recreate it and you will solicitate more with your restoration. So we don't break it. We just, before the restoration, we use a diamond strip just to polish. That's it.
Okay. And how much time do you give for testing the new bite and average?
I answered already to this question previously about it depends on if the rise of vertical dimension is below 5 millimeter, I don't let the testing period.
Another question is if you use partial crowns on
Yes.
endodontic treated.
Yes, of course. It doesn't change anything for me, vital or not vital.
I think this is something that probably you answered already in the presentation, but maybe some short clarification. Do you remove all mock-up composite before you do the
Yes, because I mean, with the you use the mock-up just to have the answer regarding how deep has to be your cut. When you cut through the mock-up, after that you remove the mock-up and you just finalize the design on the tooth structure, but not you don't finalize the design on the mock-up because you see nothing. It's not clear.
Okay.
In the last bite from the design. In the last bite from the design freehand composite. Is the last bite from the design? The last bite? I don't understand the question. Is the last bite from the design free? What I showed was a freehand composite, you know, the small bite stop that I have created, able to represent the future anatomy that I'm looking for. Yes, I do it by freehand composite. Very easy, fast. Just you need to have a perception of your need of reconstruction. Do you have a specific dental burr kit? Yes. We are using the one of l'Institut de la Facette, my training center, but at the end you find it with Comet everywhere. It's a round burr of 16, and then it's a basic chamfer also. So for the buccal veneers, we are playing with the 12 because it's very thin to go in proximal. And we just change the color, so from green ring to red rings. Are you sure that the patient is in CR? Nobody is sure, but me, what I want is just have a repeatability of the position. So how about strength on veneer molar can resist occlusal force? Yes, because as I explained with the theoretical part and the references, when you keep the marginal ridge, you receive only axial loading, and axial loading is all the bonded material, composite and both composite and ceramic, love compression. They hate tension. And that's why when we keep the marginal ridge, we have only axial loading, and we have this minimal thickness of 0.5 millimeter, which is able to show that it works very well. So we don't have a break of restoration because of that. How about strength? Okay. How to solve tooth hypersensitivity following etching? So honestly, we don't experience that kind of issue after the bonding protocol because we have a very standardized protocol. If the tooth, you have hypersensitivity before the case, in most part of the case, the treatment solves this hypersensitivity because we protect it with a new skin. So there is no more exposition, dentin exposure. So there is no more sensitivity because it's already protected. So the bonding is able to close the gap and the tubular, so reduce the sensitivity. Are anti-restoration always in two parts? No, it depends, because when you want to preserve as much as possible, yes, you keep all the convexity of the facial part, and then you keep all the palatal anatomy. But sometimes, because the wear process is already important, if you can make on only one pieces, it's better. But for most part of the case, if you go in a sandwich, you touch much less, because otherwise, when you lose all the palatal anatomy, which is very common in erosion, then the pulp is not far. So if you start to prep for the crown, you should expose the pulp or you should damage it. And I don't want to add issue to issue. How do you decide to increase and how much to increase vertical dimension? As I told you, it's a matter of observation. You have a small loss of volume, you make a small increase of vertical dimension. The vertical dimension is related to your need of reconstruction. So the more severe is the destruction, the more important will be the rise of vertical dimension. So you mean we just have to wait the patient to adapt the new video when we rise more than 5? How long do we have to wait? It depends on the patient. So it can be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. How to wax match the customized jaw movement? So when we do this with the digitalization with Mojo, for example, the device that I presented, the digital wax is following this envelope of movement because you are just testing through the movement. When you are doing this with the wax up, we are of course still making the same, but we don't have the envelope of movement, even if you place it with all the record we already made before. So when you will place the mock-up, we will have just, to test it in the lateral movement, protrusion, and so on. And you will make some correction if needed. If you see that there is too much pressure on some side, you just lengthen it. But if you want me to say that when you place it with the wax and I have nothing to test in all the cases, it will be bullshit. So of course you have always to make some small correction, but the purpose of the full mock-up is always to make, let's say, the less correction as possible. Do you offer pre-application IDS in case up of the dentin of the abrasion? I never use IDS, even if this is very appreciated in the literature, because for me, if I make IDS, I don't see how I can make my temporary on top of that. Because if you make IDS and on top of that, you place your mock-up, if you want to remove the Luxatemp after, you will have to destroy with your burr until the last millimeter. So for me, it's nice in theory. It's not relevant clinically. I know, sorry to be direct, but I'm always direct. How long patient use mock-up before do final restoration? So I already explained it. Good question. I don't know. How the patient maintain hygiene in splinted temp? It's a compromise. It's not perfect because it's monolithic. I have still inflammation in the papilla, but I don't care as long as I bond with my individual dam. So even if I have a bit of inflammation and some blood with my rubber dam, I don't care. Whenever I make the temporary, I end up increasing the vertical dimension because of not so good references. Do you use any references to see exact sitting to template? Because of not good references. So I think I understand the question, but I'm not sure. So you have two options to place your mock-up in the mouth. And of course, you need stabilization and references. When we make when you use it a silicone index, then you need to reline your silicone. So it's made with putty, like Onigum, for example, and then you reline it with the light body of Onigum. And after you just cut, and you need to extend to the palatal in order to have good stability. But the problem with the silicone index is if you push too much or not enough, sometimes you can squeeze or have some big or thick, or thick restoration. So your mock-up can be significantly disturbed. That's why we went with the 3D printed template where, the wax is based on the occlusal anatomy. So the fascial and palatal anatomy in the posterior are not affected. So when you place your 3D printed template, you have a huge friction in that area plus extension on the palatal part. So you for the one who knows this, you won't experience this pumping effect when you insert in the mouth. So that's why we propose now also this option to have a more accurate reference. But to be honest, you can already handle it with the silicone index when you use some hard, heavy silicone. Could we use zirconia for posterior bonded restoration? No, excuse me. Zirconia is not made for that, and you don't bond zirconia. So zirconia is not made for partial bonded restoration because zirconia is not etchable. with fluoridic etching. You said you use a spot of adhesive to bond the temporary. Is it self-etch adhesive? No, it's a simple adhesive which needs to be etched before, but just I place it like this in order to remove it. Does this technique work for Vignerlet? Yes, but just for temporary. Does this, you said you don't remove excess before cementing. Do you level the excess? No. I don't say that, excuse me. There is a misunderstanding. I just say that when I bond my restoration with my brush, I remove 90% of the excess. Then I apply my Optrascule pad, the small tool, with the absorbent tip, and I apply it. And when I apply it, you can see that there is additional excess which came out. And this excess, I don't remove it because I want my margin being full of resin. That's why this is what I said. So, and of course, after that, I just polish it with a very red rings burr in order, to polish perfectly, plus silicone later on. Maybe I lost something. If the patient video is not changed because of eruption, how can we make room for veneers? No. So you miss the train. We increase vertical dimension because only of the room. Otherwise, if you don't want to modify the vertical dimension, you will need to over prep the tooth, and this is what we don't want. That's why we all agree to always play with the vertical dimension. So just to make the story clear. How much minimum thickness tabletop you advise? It was 0.5 minimum. Do you prefer IDS after prep? I don't make IDS for the temporary purpose. I never use it. Do you use BOPT to increase crown length for improve aesthetic? No, I'm just explaining that what I want is minimally invasive. BOPT is a peripheral crown with a beautiful margin, but it's still a crown. So if I can avoid and make a bonding, I prefer. Would you recommend tabletop in case of parafunction? Yes, of course. It's not a problem to use tabletop. It's very well recommended. In severe wound dentition, would you recommend orthodontic device for a certain amount of time to relax the muscle check of the patient and where the patient is comfortable before doing the mock-up? No. I think that orthodontic treatment can be interesting, if you need to create some space, making some aggression, modifying the axis of the anterior if needed. But I did already a couple of interdisciplinary cases following ortho plus full mouth rehabilitation. And if you want me to be honest, it was very difficult after 5, 6, 7 years to maintain stable the position of the tooth. So that's why now I'm not a big lawyer for using orthodontic treatment before making this kind of individual restoration, because I won't be able to make a splint. So the only way will be to use a night guard, and this night guard will be the splint. But the problem is, okay, it's 1 year, 2 years after they lost it, they lose it, then they don't go back in your office, and time fly. And 6 years later, they come and they say, "Hey, doctor, now it was perfect 5 years ago. Now the position has changed. Why? Because unfortunately, with adult, when you go for orthodontic treatment, you have a small flexibility, laxitude of the desmodont, and unfortunately, it's difficult after that to maintain and to make it stable. This is just my experience. How to seal dentin? You seal dentin during the final bonding protocol. For the rest, because I don't touch dentin, I just prep a little bit the peripheral occlusal anatomy. So this means that I don't have to. It is as it was before. I just bond it for the final restoration. If I only treat the sixth front, will work step be different? Of course, because how do you want to make palatal veneers to restore if you will disconnect the bite in the posterior, so the patient won't be able to bite in the posterior, so it is not stable. Sometimes it can create aggression automatically after a couple of weeks, but honestly, I don't have this certitude today. Why composite and not ceramic for the palatal? You can do both. This is what I explained at the end regarding the choice of the material. So you can do both. It depends on the antagonist, the type of restoration that your technician is working with. When the mock-up is too thin, is it easier to be broken, especially in posterior area? Do we need to increase the buccolingual dimension of the to mock-up? It's stronger. No, I think that it's not the good start to start the discussion. You don't prep to have more resistance. It doesn't work like this. This is the old-fashioned mindset. Sorry to be direct. So if you have a thin mock-up, this means that when you will cut through the mock-up, but you see that in anterior, you have already a good stability, the volume that you have created with your mock-up is good, no need to touch it. This means that when you will make your prep through the mock-up, instead of almost touching nothing on the initial occlusal anatomy, you will have to touch a little bit. But at the end, I prefer to touch a little bit in posterior and to keep a very gentle and elegant palatal anatomy for the patient and a good bite than over increase the vertical dimension and making a very strong posterior resistance. But on the other side, the patient will always complain because it is too thick. It will make some issue regarding the phonation and so on. So I don't think that this is a good way. If no enamel, there is always enamel on the peripheral aspect, which is already very important. If there is no enamel, you have to go back for some more mechanical prep and approach. Because, of course, the bonding protocol, if this is only on occlusal, it's okay. If this is more than occlusal, then you can have some debonding if there is more stress. Is this technique good only for severe tooth loss case? No, for me, it is for medium to severe and extreme. Before all the initial step of erosion, direct composite is the best. Severe tooth loss with crowding. How to manage? Severe. Okay, so I think that this is a question also related. If you have a lot of crowding, then of course you need to make an alignment with ortho, and then after you will have to make your treatment. If the crowding is very important, of course you need to go for ortho. But if this is not that much, better to take it without ortho for the stability. It's always, I can't tell you that you have 100% of positive things with this technique and that's it. At the end, it's a matter of compromise. So you can't get everything at the same time. So if you need ortho, you go for ortho. But you know that as a disadvantages, you could have, unfortunately, some issue with the stability, not after 1 year, after 6, 7, 8 years. But this is how we have to deal with. How is the tabletop only receiving axial loading? In function, there must be transverse loading and stressing. Yes, but during the lateral movement, you should have a function from the canine, so you have disconnection. So this is not that you have a lot of stress, except if you have a group function from molar to canine, but in most part of the case, it can be, if this is a group function, it can be canine and premolar. But we try to avoid, for periodontal purpose, we try to avoid lateral movement on the molar. Hi, what about wear of patient with dental-alveolar incongruous with spacing? How can we solve it without ortho? I don't understand it. What about wear of patient with dental-alveolar incongruous with spacing? How can we resolve it without ortho? I don't, Sabrina, I don't say that I don't want ortho. I just say that when we made some case with ortho, if needed, you have to go for ortho. No discussion for that. The only thing is, for this parafunctional patient, it's difficult to maintain with the time the results. This is just what I want to say to let you. So me now, when I see that there is only some small disposition, I prefer to avoid to make ortho in order to keep very strong the stability of my tooth structure in the bone. Basically, this is now how I am thinking after 20 years of experience. This is just my conclusion. And almost last but not least, can we follow DAL technique? Yes, of course, but sometimes you can't guarantee exactly the space that you will get with the aggression in the posterior, but it's also a very good option. I mean about case when we have a lot of space between teeth. So diastema, you mean? Or maybe aggression? I don't know, Sabrina. What does it mean? Is it space in terms of diastema or is it space in terms of occlusion? Yes, diastema. Okay. So diastema, you can deal by closing with your veneers, for example. You can deal with the diastema. It's not diastema for me is not an obligation to make ortho. It depends on the case again. It depends on the initial morphology. So if the morphology has to be modified, no need for ortho. If the initial morphology is already very good, but we still have diastema, of course, it's better to go for ortho. If the patient is Bruxer, is an IGUA mandatory? I fully agree. It will be always mandatory for all that kind of rehabilitation. So, and I use, something very simple, a very thin template, and my patient knows that they have to change it every year. So the marathon of questions is over.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and patience answering these questions. And yeah, I think we had a wonderful afternoon. I think we learned a lot, and I would like to thank you. And
thank you very much.
Julia.
Yes, thank you for this wonderful presentation. Thank you to the participants for all your questions. And it was a pleasure to host this very special session. And I would take the last minute to announce our next event because it will be very, very soon. It's on coming Monday, with the title Improving Smile Aesthetics from Bleaching Resin Infiltration